Adi, how are you?
I'm fine.
And how was your week?
Today morning I was reading the Cookie, the most annoying girl in the world.
Why did you read that?
Cookie and the most.
Why did you choose that book?
Because it was a book I didn't read.
And I remember why I ordered that book.
Why?
Because of the graphical illustrations.
Oh, I thought you'd say because you're an annoying boy in the world.
Trust me, I won't say that. I love you too much, Adi. I won't say that. But anyways, so how has your reading? You started reading early in the mornings these days. How is it going?
I read approximately 50 pages a day. I
Wow.
like the Matilda book from Roald Dahl a lot, so I read it the second time. I didn't remember much because I read it when I was so small. So I read all like a 230 page book in 3 days, and it was like a big book. So
I think it's the font is easier.
yeah,
Roald Dahl book is very very interesting. Very, you cannot just put it down.
like it was actually about something like the Matilda's parents are not they were not very cooperative, and then she used to read books a lot. So then what happens is, for reading books, she used to trick her dad by changing oils, changing hats, putting glues on like hats and all the stuff. And then in school she was like very very smart, so she was fast in math. So she was like, if a little a pocket calculator could do it, why can't I? So she could do like tough mathematical
Problems.
things.
Yeah.
And then at the last she was like staying with a teacher. Yeah.
Oh, she lived with the teacher then finally.
Yeah, because her parents are going to Spain.
So that in books, these very famous books, you see there's a pattern. Like one child is. I wanted to talk this about this to you the other day, and then we got diverted. So if you see, the storyline has a pattern. First, they'll show there's a problem, and then
they have something like a climax that will go a little end. The climax.
And then climax is of course in the end, and then there's an action, rising action, falling action, then climax. And if you see,
and mostly like what happens in movies, they put the climax in the middle. Some movies also have the climax at the end, but at this book
climax means end, climax means finish.
Oh, so
that's climax.
The climax hits very like the climax hits very hardly on like these type of books.
If you see that
Like also Harry Potter.
Exactly, I was thinking about Harry Potter. See, there'll be one child who's like not loved, doesn't have a family.
Yeah, like it's typical.
Creates that sympathy for that child.
Yeah.
And then you start feeling bad about that child, and then the story shows you that how that child is a hero. Like in Harry Potter, how he's like a hero, right? He has all these powers. Same Matilda. She is,
she could also move things from her eyes. I wish I had
so
that.
imagine now she is like this, an uncle auntie, bad uncle auntie.
Yes.
But then she is loved. But then she's not loved. She has these great skills, and that she's just showing in. And it is also a kind of you know, it's like making fun of the school, right? In a way where now a child is very smart, and how the headmistress, whatever, actually it's like a mocking the school, the headmistress, and everything else. You also remember?
No, it's not mocking the school, it's mocking the principal. Because what happened is the principal don't like small children, and she has a small children's school, so it's her fault.
Same thing if you see the movie Pinocchio, we saw, remember how this boy was going to school, and there's this about how children make fun of him.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember. So it's again similar, but he has different, you know, different talents or skills, whatever you call it. So yeah, these are some books that has a similar kind of. So you were also reading this Ruskin Bond, right? And what is the difference that you saw?
Skin Bond I found a little bit boring, but I found Road a little bit more interesting. And Cookies is also Cookie is also a little interesting.
Because it has all graphical illustrations and it's written by
Connie Huck, and it's also illustrated by the.
So if you see, it has all these graphical, very similar to what was this famous book, Diary of Wimpy Kid Kinds.
Yeah.
Right? You see, Diary of Wimpy Kid.
I saw the photos. I've never read it.
We'll get Diary of Wimpy Kid. You might like, or you might. No, it's funny actually. It's very funny. And then her skin one I was talking about has it's good for, it describes very beautifully the scene. And
Yeah, that you can imagine it in front of your eyes.
exactly, very descriptive writing. How the plants are, how the trees are, how the roads are, how the railways are. He'll
Yeah.
make you fall in love with Indian Railways, Dehradun, where he's based. Like the hills, talks about hills and mountains because he lived there. He lives there still, and he just loves. He fell in love with Dehradun. He never went away. So yeah, I was. I remember. Do you remember any? Do you have any early memories of reading as a child, very younger child? Of course, yes.
Yeah, I only used to read fairy tales, I remember. So, like when I was very small, I only used to skim for the pictures. But when I got big, I used to see those words.
I used to get those. I don't know, in the local publication books. So it
Tulika
had
books.
bigger picture.
Yeah,
And just
it
one
had.
lines on
If
the
it's
bottom.
like a A4 page, so it had this big, and then it had this much, like text.
It was fun, no? Those you used to wait for those. I used to go for trainings on Saturdays, and there was a bookshop there. So I used to get 2 to 3 books. And when I used to come back, he used to search where are the books, and like, he got into this habit. So I went for the training for 6 months, and every week you were expecting books, and I bought many of those. And those were all famous classical stories. Like there was Pinocchio, Sleeping Beauty, all those. I don't know if you remember Cinderella.
Yeah.
All those very famous fairy tale classics. Uh, there was this book, you remember, where the pumpkin grows. Then he calls
Yeah,
people
yeah,
to
yeah.
pull it
That's
out.
like I read it like dozens of times.
Yeah, we used to keep reading, and then earlier than that, do you remember reading those books where there was this duck who doesn't take bath by Mo Willems?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember that.
We used to enjoy that book so much. So there was this duck who doesn't want to go for a bath.
Like me?
Why don't you take a bath? He says. And dirty, clean. He says this is all your perception. And then
So like when she went to watch, she was like hot, cold, and then there was like two whole pages in these small comics of hot, cold, too hot, and finally perfect.
No, that is one memorable book. And then from Indian books, you read a lot of Tulika publications.
Yeah.
So Tulika publications are these Indian books, very nicely written and very nicely illustrated. And there was this story. I don't know if you remember. It was about this cow which doesn't leave the road,
Ah, yeah, that one also I remember.
and she sits there.
That was like there was also one story. It was something about Shillong, I guess.
I need to pee.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was Penguin.
Yeah.
So Penguin publication. So this girl, she discovers how going to the toilet is so dirty in Indian Railways, and
Indian Railways.
yeah, and then she goes to this place
Same
in
for
Sikkim
me.
or somewhere that there's a traditional toilet.
No, that was that Shillong.
Shillong or yeah, whatever, and then she discovers in traditional toilets in Shillong, and she talks. Her mother explains how much water she should drink before going when she's traveling and all that. It was a fun book. Any other memory you have? Early reading memory?
No.
You remember Gajapati Kulpati?
Yeah.
Those were amazing books.
Like there was
Amazing.
like 3 or 4 of them.
We got all. It's by the book is written Ashok Raja Gopalan. We used
There
to
was
laugh.
also one cow, like about how they milk cows, or some small book,
How they make cows?
like how they milk cows.
I don't remember that. Okay, so these are some books that you started reading quite early. And I think for anyone who wants to develop this habit, if you can start reading early, it's great. You know, because there are so many.
Because Elon
Hmm.
Musk, Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs, all those people used to read very.
They all had reading habits. This
Yeah.
one, even Bill Gates. Now, Bill Gates also posts on his blog, right? He has a blog.
He has a
So,
blog
yeah.
like me.
So he always shares about his books that he's been reading, and he appreciates good writers. Elon Musk, we were reading how as a child he used to read a lot, and at that time he used to picture himself creating these. Going to space or creating something like that.
He didn't go to space till now, right? Because the
He didn't go, but he found a way for people to go to space, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting. And Jeff Bezos also had this habit of reading, and he also recommends his favorite books. Even
Steve Jobs.
even Zuckerberg, lists books that he has read and recommends books. So you will see a pattern. All these people have amazing reading habits. And why do you think it is important to have this?
Like I think it's for knowledge, the first thing.
One thing, yeah.
So knowledge, and then I guess your brain also gets a little developed when you keep reading.
It's you know what I've realized that it's not difficult to get access to books. Like you can
Yeah,
go to
library.
libraries.
You can like
So many
read it
PDFs are
online.
online.
Yeah,
You can, if you want to really read,
I've
you
read the
figure out
whole
a way.
famous five relying on PDFs.
Yeah, you used to read. You once, I think, last to last year. Last year you went slow on reading, but before that, you had read
I
so
had read like
the entire famous five,
I
secret
have
seven.
and Hardy Boys like 7 or 8. I guess 11 almost.
I
Like
don't think so. You read so much Hardy Boys. You're confused. You didn't like Hardy Boys. You didn't proceed much.
oh okay. I guess I've done. Yeah, I've done 3 or 4. I didn't know I did.
You didn't read more than that.
Yeah, and for like yeah.
So those were some amazing books that you read, and
I was talking about I read that book called it was from Enid Blyton.
Magical Tree.
Yeah, like there was 3 books in
Oh,
one,
you
and I
loved
read
that
it
book.
like
I mean, you after that you really wanted to read a lot of Enid Blyton, and I also told you when I was a child I used to read this because in our library we had lot like 3 4 sets of famous five, and it was all well binded books. So I
What does
remember,
binder mean?
like it was very covered with a hard cover. They had
Oh, those
specially
things.
done the binding. So those were amazing. Even for adults, I think when you have a when you start reading regularly, you will see how interesting it becomes because then you can get to learn so much. Because I always think that the author has done so much research, isn't it?
Yeah, like even Calvin and Hobbes and all this.
Oh, we love that series, no? And he
Yeah, I
also
have a
got a
whole set
gift.
I never read.
So Calvin and Hobbes, even the strips are so funny, so intelligent. I mean, he makes fun of life. He makes fun of schooling and traditional systems, and it's truly amazing the things that he used to do.
It must have took like years for the author
Yeah.
to write
So
that whole
before he
thing
used to just publish those strips.
on newspapers.
Yeah, and then he put it all together, and then he never allowed to make
Make
a
a
movie. He
movie.
said it will not be justified if he makes a movie out of it. But
It would
reading,
be very boring a movie.
we never know. It would have been a very popular thing. Imagine Calvin and Hobbes. I mean, what a pair they are. I
Yeah,
don't think so. The movie can be flop.
but it would be a long one.
But it depends. They can make a series, but he never allowed, so nobody does it.
Yeah.
Um, there are some amazing books that slowly maybe you will read. Sapiens, or you were reading this nice book by Peter Thiel, remember? Zero to
Yeah,
One.
like I didn't understand much.
But you should try reading that again. You will like it in parts. Even Naval Ravikant talks about his reading habits, and when he was young, his neighborhood was not good. So he would sneak into the library and not sneak, like his mother would drop him into the library and he would read, read, read,
Of
and
course.
he would just keep reading one book after the other, and that's how he says he learned so many things. He developed perspectives about different things. Even Sam Altman talks about reading. So if you see clear pattern of so many people reading and so many amazing. I recently read this book Habits. I told
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and you learn about how people form habits, and how our companies making you fall into the habit of buying something, like
Yeah.
how supermarkets arrange things. So see
And
these.
there's like also super strategy of supermarkets that I wanted to share. They never, like, mostly they don't have windows, so when the shoppers are buying, they'll not see that the sun is getting lower, so they keep on spending their time in the supermarket and they keep buying more things, like literally holding more things until they check out their watch or something, and then they know that's so late, and
Oh,
then
that's why they don't put the watch there. That's what you're saying, no?
no, they don't put windows.
Oh, so that you're lost in
Yeah.
shopping. I think they also don't put clocks there.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah.
Okay. Five books that you would recommend uh, someone like your age to read.
Five books from my age. The first one is the Enid Blyton Magic Tree 3 in 1. So it will be really fun. The second one I would say is Cookie and the Most Annoying One, a girl, and then that's a little bit funny. So like, and also if I could say something like
Adam K.
yeah, Adam K. Or Adam K books.
You want to talk a little bit about Adam K books?
Adam K. So you have Adam K's Anatomy. You have K's Marvelous Medicine. So like you have a lot of
What a fun way to learn about your body,
yeah.
Very
I-
nice.
Like I find it such a book that I don't have to go one page after another. So what I just do is I flip another page, and I've done that so much that I almost know every page of the Marvelous Medicine.
I think that's one book that can make you read about your body. I have like I don't textbooks are so boring, and then you have to mug it for exams. It makes it further boring. But if you want to teach someone about their body, just
Yeah.
recommend Adam K. He's so funny. All the
Like
time he talks about potty, which makes it interesting for you.
uh
Yeah. And all the great discoveries and all the things that happened in the past.
and then he also mentions about his aunt Brunella on one of the marvelous and the
No,
marvelous
it's in the
medicine.
both the books, right?
I guess I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Like she always gives commentary like, don't talk about me like that. I'm going to complain this to your mom. This was supposed to be a textbook, not a gross book.
And early reading books, that if somebody asks me what books for early reading would I recommend,
Yeah.
I would say you know I would say that Mo Williams books, amazing book, right?
Mo Williams.
Mo Williams, that the duck one I says.
Oh,
Books
okay.
books by Mo Williams for kids. Yeah. For early readers, if you ask me, like I said, I would suggest Mo Williams books. I would suggest if you want something in Indian,
Tulika, you
Indian
could
books,
be.
Tulika books are
Penguin.
amazing. I
Penguin.
love Tulika books illustrations for younger kids. Okay, I want to say that the Pratham books are equally interesting. So this
Yeah.
is like a non-profit organization, right? So you know it's backed up by many organizations where you can
like story weaver. So I read
So
like
Pratham is
books.
Story Weaver or same, I think.
Yeah.
Same under the same thing or the other something like that. Story Weaver has a lot of online books as well.
You can
Pratham,
also make books on
yeah,
story
you can
weaver.
make story books on Story Weaver, and then you were writing a book on Upschool. Upschool has some amazing books collection where children are writing books.
Yeah, I
And
wrote a book
you
like
can
it
go
was
there
a
and read it. Even
cute
your
book.
book is there. We can add that in the link.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So there are so many free you know there is this, we also downloaded one app called Epic, which had a lot
Yeah.
of books, and these are some
Then it also had some tutorials like on Lego and all those stuff.
okay, Epic, is it? I didn't know that, but I remember the books it has. And so yeah.
Yeah.
um
Next week we can talk about courses. Like all sorts of courses.
which course?
Like there's one Lego course where you can learn about Lego things
Tools,
like that.
like tools to
Yeah.
be engaged. That can be a fun topic. We can explore that. We have written a lot, right? You
Yeah.
can share and show how these things
Yeah,
are.
yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, so I think it was fun talking about reading, and I think it's a great habit to build. I'm sure if so many people are talking about reading habits, trust me, they have experienced reading, and they have seen the benefits as well.
Yeah.
And apart, we spend so much in school and so much in these textbooks, but I can tell you that the kind of exposure you get through these books.
Yeah, once you read these books, like even if you have those stories on your English books, they're like if you can go advanced in reading, you can like you will feel like these textbooks things are like what.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What would be your suggestions to kids and you know regarding the importance of reading?
Importance of reading, it's like when once like you're reading, you're getting more knowledge, you're getting more like exposure to reading and all those stuff are the benefits for kids and adults. So
And
yeah.
how do you propose that? What is a good way to start developing a habit? Like otherwise,
Developing a habit, so first you need to fix a time. So like for like me it was shooting somewhere in the morning, so I choose the morning, like from a like 7 o'clock, 7:45 to 8:30. Like you could set whatever free time you have, and you could set that. And then you could have, and then for setting a habit you need to have something like you need to have something ready. So if you don't have any book selected and you're going to sit at the time you chose, so if you have anything, if you have everything ready and you set a time, that's the basics of how to start a habit. Yeah.
I think perfectly. That's what I do. I try to set up a time, and I try to fix it, and then it helps me read. Now, currently, I'm reading
Educated.
by Tara Westover, and I think very very interesting. It reminds me of the book I read long back, Angela's Ashes. But anyways, so I think it was a great fun talk, reminiscing what we read when we were a child and how we developed this habit. And
Cherishing all those.
yeah, and I think any parent, I think the best advice is start early, because and it's an opportunity, for even parents who have not read in their early age to enjoy reading with their kids. Because when I was looking at Tulika books, I was like, I was learning along with you, and I loved reading with you, and I loved picking those books. And it's not that you have to buy all the books. There are so many books online.
Yeah.
There are books that are, you can buy in half the price. Also, you can, if you have good libraries, wow, you are blessed. Also, you can set up small communities and share books with your friends and family members.
Yeah,
And I
like
think one
like
more.
you can also create your own library sort of a thing.
And
If you
you
have
know
some
what?
books.
Remember, we always used to gift books to people,
Yeah.
friends, and families. And I think that is one practice that we still do today. We don't buy toys. We try to buy books for close family and friends, because we think that it's a great gift.
Yeah, like for my cousin, my small cousin, we gifted Muft Ki Kulfi and more books like books for children.
Fun picture books.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you for joining in. And if you want to know more about reading and how we read, and if you have any
Yeah, you should also
questions,
check our newsletter. You should check my mom's blogs. You should check Learn with AK, all in the description.
thank you for watching. Bye bye.
Bye.